Hey, this is Derek, and welcome to another Devil May Cry 5 video. So we're going to be doing something a little bit differently today. I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk about the current state of Devil May Cry 5 as a whole, including what's happening with the PC community right now, what's happening on console, and really just talk about the future of DMC5, at least on this channel, and just provide a little bit of an update as to what my main focus is going to be moving forward. So as it stands right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be any official DLC coming from Capcom anytime soon. And you see more and more players in the community starting to taper off. They've either gone back to another version of Devil May Cry, let's say a previous iteration of the game like DMC3 or DMC4, or they've just moved on entirely to other games. In terms of the PC community, these guys are really thriving and they're still more or less alive and well. With features like turbo mode, different kinds of lighting and shading effects, changes to specific mechanics like Royal Guard canceling, and even jump cancels. The modders have done a really incredible job just breathing new life into the game, which has helped keep players motivated and coming back for more. And there really doesn't seem to be any signs of that slowing down anytime soon because there's new stuff that's being developed and coming out all the time. For example, most recently, there's been a guard flying mod that has been in the works for quite some time, really since the game's release, when the majority of the returning DMC4 players realized that momentum and inertia, things like that, were not into DMC5's core mechanics. There's been mods that have been working on this and trying new ways to reintroduce it. And it looks like they're starting to make some serious progress based on some conversations that I've had with the latest iteration of the inertia mod that's flying around, pun intended. It's starting to feel better and better and really come into its own. Another cool mod which has been circling around the community is a new shader mod which can adjust and completely change in some cases the game's shading and lighting, which doesn't sound like a really big deal, but already there are some amazing quality of life changes to some of the levels and even the void, as I'm showing here on the screen. And although it might seem like a small thing and it's not something that would make a drastic impact, stuff like this can actually go a long way at breathing new life and variety in the game, so its impact is definitely not to be underestimated. Now, as for Devil May Cry 5 and my personal channel, so as it stands right now, I've completed all the S ranks throughout the game, and honestly, once I really did that, a huge chunk of my personal motivation to keep coming back, to keep trying to improve at the game and get better, a lot of that motivation tapered off when I completed the S ranks. Bloody Palace was admittedly a really cool feature. It was something that Capcom added for free, which is nice. Definitely something we have to be grateful for because it did breathe a little bit of extra longevity into the game. But even that, once you beat it a couple times, once you play through it, it really starts to become monotonous. There really isn't much incentive to continue practicing and getting better. The first 40 levels are really a cakewalk, and it really doesn't start getting interesting until it starts getting challenging, which is in the levels 60 or maybe even 70, 80 and up. And by then you've already been playing for an hour and a half, you've been grinding kind of mindlessly through the slews and slews of enemies, and it just kind of starts to get really monotonous. And you know what? A lack of support from Capcom has been really unfortunate and, in my opinion, has left a really bad taste in my mouth. A lot of decisions that they made really didn't help either. For example, the inability to use DLC in Bloody Palace. That's something that to this day really frustrates me. If you see a lot of my gameplay videos, I love using Cavalier R, specifically for Redline. It's an aerial stinger, it's a really cool move, it's a fun move to use. But if I want to play Bloody Palace, for whatever reason, I can't use that. So again, decisions like this coming from Capcom, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And there are other factors as well. For example, there's just a lack of overall DLC. For example, character DLC or even weapon DLC. maybe even introducing small features like the must style mode. Now, I never played the reboot, but that mode comes from the reboot, where how it works is you have to have a minimum S rank or higher before enemies will even take damage. And to me, I think that's super hype, and I think that would be a much welcome feature, and it wouldn't be hard for Capcom to implement something like this. But there's a slew of other reasons as well. You know, there's a lack of turbo mode. There's no breaker swapping for Nero, so the ability to actually swap breaker to breaker in the middle of a game, or Bloody Palace, for example. The ability to play any character on any level. So why are characters still locked into certain missions? Why can't you play Dante in mission 7? You know, something like this is really annoying to me, because if I only want to play Dante, or if I want to practice with Dante, I have about 5 missions in the game in Bloody Palace where I can do that. And the list goes on, you know, and a lot of these things that I'm griping about, they've been accomplished on PC via mod, and they could definitely be introduced by Capcom to breathe new life into the game. But again, the lack of support and just overall indifference towards the fans of the game and the community, it's very apparent, and to me it's frustrating more than anything. But Derek, you tall, crazy, handsome bastard, you say, why not just invest in the PC version of the game? Then you can get all these mods and get all these features that you're griping about up and running. And while I want nothing more to be able to do that, unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can invest in a new PC at this point in time. And my current PC, while it might be able to run DMC5, I know for a fact that I would not be able to run the game and also stream it or record any of the videos. So sure, yeah, I could get it and get some of the mods up and running, but the question would be to what end, you know? Like, at the end of the day, if I am playing the game, I do want to be able to stream with it. I want to be able to create content with it. So unfortunately, that's just not a solution at this point in time. So anyway, all that being said, I do want to clarify that I do think Devil May Cry 5 is an amazing game, but as more of these little things and quality of life changes that modders are introducing, all of these are just stacking up. And to me, all I start to see is all these missed opportunities that Capcom really, with just a little bit of support, they could have really breathed a lot of variety and longevity into this game. And it's a shame that we've seen absolutely nothing from them. Like, think about it, you know, Virgil, Lady, Trish, DLC, even Lucia, that would have been amazing. Weapon DLC, introducing classic weapons from DMC1, DMC3, and hell, maybe even DMC4. That would have been incredible. I would have gladly paid, you know, an extra $5, $10, $15 for a classic weapons pack like Agni and Rudra, or maybe even some of the guns like Artemis. So definitely things like that. And like turbo mode, I mean, come on, that's self-explanatory. So maybe we will get some of these features and more. Hey, knock on wood, with any luck, we will get some of this stuff in an official special edition release. But until then, you know, I've more or less had my fill of the game in its current state, and moving forward, my focus on this channel will be expanding the type of content that is featured. And in a nutshell, what that means is there's going to be more games that are showing up on the channel. But regardless of what game it is, my primary goal will never stop being to create quality content that is fun, entertaining, thoughtful, and of course, super hype. And then for those who have made it this far, while I may be slowing down on DMC5 moving forward, this is not the end for DMC content on this channel. I have something really special planned in the very near future, so stick around, squad, because things are just starting to get interesting. I'll leave it at that there, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Don't you dare say it! Jackpot!